So we're going to talk about the Enûma Elish first and the 7 tablets of creation. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this one versus some of the other texts, just because this text is so powerful and so mind-blowing, and what's in it will really awaken you to the true history of our ancient past. And I'm going to even show you how scribes would write this text, how they would actually scribe it onto tablets. So you can get to understand, like, the work that it takes just to write one sentence is so incredible. Nobody had time to sit around and make this stuff up, okay? This is an amazing epic tale, and the majority of the Old Testament of the Bible copied their information from the Enûma Elish, in most cases, word for word, okay? And in some cases, when it was too much to write, they just kind of subjugated it and made it into whatever they could and added some of their own context to it. But the Enûma Elish primarily is where the Bible gets a lot of the Old Testament. This is what the tablets look like here. The Enûma Elish, the 7 tablets of creation. And these are the tablets here. These tablets are on display at the British Museum. You can actually go and visit the tablets. The tablets are real. It's not a mythological thing or something that nobody can get their hands on or find. We know about the tablets extensively, and I'm going to go into the history of these tablets with you today. Just a little bit. The Enûma Elish is the Akkadian cuneiform, also spelled Enûma Elish. It's a Babylonian creation myth. It was recovered by Austin Henry Layard in 1849 in the ruined library of Ashurbanipal at Nineveh, which is in Mosul, Iraq. Iraq is really the cradle of civilization, guys, for Homo sapien, and published by George Smith in 1876. Now, this is interesting. I want you guys to stop right there for a second. There's books that came out by a famous author named Zecharia Sitchin, which I love and have so much respect for. They tried to dirty up his name before he died at the end in his 90s, unfortunately, and make his work look like he just made up these stories and he was the only person that can translate these tablets. Well, that's false. And again, that's where a lot of the fake news comes from, the conscious community. As a matter of fact, Zecharia Sitchin didn't translate any tablets. His work was all based off of tablets that were already translated. And he provided his sources for everything that he utilized to create his theory in his books, in every single book. And he would, even at the end of every paragraph, he would tell you where he got the information from to create the context of what he wrote. So Zecharia Sitchin wasn't the only person that can translate cuneiform tablets, and the tablets that he utilized to write his stories came from pre-translated material before he was even born. So let me clear that up from the beginning. The Enûma Elish has about 1,000 lines and is recorded in Old Babylonian on 7 clay tablets, each holding between 115 and 170 lines of Sumer-Akkadian cuneiform script. Most of Tablet 5 had never been recovered until recently. Tablet 5 was discovered at the Somalia Museum in Iraq. This epic is one of the most important sources for understanding the Babylonian worldview, centered on the supremacy of Marduk. Now, Marduk, or Marduk, however you want to say it, is also known as Amun-Ra, okay? And this was a person that really did exist. Not only did he exist, he made it into the modern day Bible. His names are in there. In the creation of humankind for the service of the gods. Its primary original purpose, however, is not an exposition of theology or theology, but the elevation of Marduk, the chief god of Babylon, above all other Mesopotamian gods. You see this Marduk guy, he's the one who ushered in the monotheistic mindset, one God religion. He was jealous of his other relatives, these Anunnaki beings who all came here. They were issued regions of the planet to rule over, regions of Atlantis to rule over. And it was getting him pissed off that he wasn't the only one being worshipped, to the point where he even created a war out of this. He made everybody that he was ruling over claim that he was the one and true only God, which made it into the Bible. And to also, every time they gave thanks for anything, that to give praises and thanks to him. So that's where we get amen from. It doesn't really mean so be it, as it does really mean it was ordered by a killer, a deadly guy, one of the most brutal rulers of all time. This guy here, and also full of ego. Matter of fact, he was so full of ego that in the original story of the Enûma Elish, the planet that crashes into Tiamat was named Nibiru. And in a later version, he had that tablet rewritten to say Marduk instead of Nibiru because he wanted to be the destroyer. This is how big this guy's ego is, okay? Now, when you hear the word God during this lecture, keep in mind that I'm not referencing the creator of the universe. That's very important, guys. I'm referencing the Anunnaki beings that masqueraded as gods with a lowercase g and were worshipped not only by the Sumerians, but by many civilizations that they themselves had kickstarted. The Enûma Elish exists in various copies from Babylon to Assyria. The version of the Library of Ashurbanipal dates to the 7th century BCE. The composition of the text probably dates to the Bronze Age, to the time of Hammurabi, or perhaps the early Kassite era, roughly 18th to 16th centuries BCE. Okay, we're talking about some really old stuff here. This is tablet 5 that was just discovered at the Somalia Museum in Iraq. So we got a complete and full tablet number 5 now, which gave us even more information about this ancient tale, this ancient story, and it's been translated already. Now, like I said, Zecharia Sitchin didn't translate any of these tablets. And I got to say that over and over again because there's so much garbage and crap that has gone on over the last few years since his death. And even right before he died, a lot of even people that I thought would have been respected people in the community to bring forth truth and information also did not do their research. They just went with whatever they saw on YouTube and started saying that this Zecharia Sitchin made all this up. When in fact, George Smith, born 1840 to 1876, was an English Assyriologist, apprenticed engraver, and self-taught in cuneiform in the corridors of the British Museum. Eventually, he was hired by Sir Henry Rawlinson, which was a prominent archaeologist. Smith achieved worldwide attention when he discovered an account of the flood with the obvious biblical parallels in 1872, related in the Chaldean account of the deluge. This book expands on the previous work he did and presents numerous translations of the tablets, including the first print appearance of the Epic of Gilgamesh. This is where it comes from, guys, not from Zecharia Sitchin. This is where a lot of these translations come from, okay? George Smith is one of them, and he learned directly how to do the translations at the British Museum. Here we go, another one, E.A. Spicer. In 1926, E.A. Spicer won a Guggenheim Fellowship to study the remains of the ancient Mitanni and Hurons in northern Mesopotamia. That's where Iraq is located. While there in 1927, he discovered the Tepe Guara, which means Great Mound, one of the world's earliest cradles of civilization. In 1928, he was appointed assistant professor of Semitics at the University of Pennsylvania and the full professor in 1931. He was field director of the joint excavation of the American Schools of Oriental Research and the University Museum in 1930 to 1932, 1936 to 1937. Undertaking excavations at Tepe Guara and Tel Bila, he also translated the Hurrian legal text found at Nuzi. After the war, he returned to the University of Pennsylvania, where he was chairman of the Department of Oriental Studies from 1947 until his death in 1965. He was also appointed Elish Professor of Hebrew and Semitic Languages and Literatures there in 1954. He translated and wrote extensive commentary for the volume on Genesis in the Anchor Bible series and was one of the editors of the Torah in the New Jewish Publication Society of America version of the Old Testament. Noted a student of his was future professor Moshe Greenberg, who became an Israel Prize Laureate in Bible Studies. There's another person that also translated the Enûma Elish. So you see his biography, is a mile long. These are very, very learned men that this Enûma Elish and a lot of these other tablets went through, their studies and their research, and they translated a lot of this content. And like I said before, a lot of authors like myself, we thank these guys. They did a lot of the heavy lifting for us. Because of what they did back then, we're able to extrapolate now and come up with our own theories, ideas, and understandings of these ancient tablets. A little bit deeper, because I really want to drive this home. Leonard William King, okay, December 1869 to August 1919, was an English archaeologist and Assyriologist, educated at Rugby School and King's College in Cambridge. He collected stone inscriptions widely in and near the Far East, taught Assyrian and Babylonian archaeology at King's College for a number of years, and published a large number of works on these subjects. He's also known for his translations of ancient works, such as the Code of Hammurabi, which is an amazing code of script. You got to read that script. He became the assistant to the keeper of the Egyptian Assyrian antiquities at the British Museum. Some of his works: First Steps in Assyrian, a book for beginners, being a series of historical, mythological, religious, and magical, epistolary, and other texts printed in cuneiform characters with interlinear transliteration and translation, and a sketch of Assyrian grammar, sign list, and vocabulary. Letters and Inscriptions of Hammurabi, he did in 1898, okay? Encyclopedia Biblica, contributor, 1903. Egypt and Western Asia in the Light of Recent Discoveries, 1907. Chronicles Concerning Early Babylonian Kings, 1907, Volume 1 and 2. Legends of Babylonian and Egypt in Relation to Hebrew Tradition, Swipe Literature, 1916. The Seven Tablets of Creation, or Babylonian, the Assyrian Legends Concerning the Creation of the World and of Mankind, 1902. And the Code of Hammurabi translation in 1899. Guys, again, much respect to Zecharia Sitchin for the work that he put in, because he was able to do exactly what a lot of authors have done. Go back to these guys who did a lot of the heavy lifting and use their research content and their translations. That's where they came from, not from Zecharia Sitchin. This stuff can be found in the British Museum. These tablets and these scriptures, they can all be found in the British Museum. They have a lot of amazing stuff at the British Museum in London. And if you want to see it, you can just hop on a plane and go there. If you're close by, go out there and check it out. You'll be able to see for yourself that these things are real and they really do exist. Now, the translation part has been done so well that there's an online library. It's the UCLA CDLI Cuneiform Digital Library. And you can actually Google that online and go to your browser, type in UCLA CDLI Cuneiform Library. This screen will pop up. This is the website. And this website will allow you to literally go in and grab a stone tablet on the virtual shelf, drop it into the translator tool, and read the tablet for yourself. You don't have to worry about what I think, what Zecharia thinks, what any of these other great guys who translated these tablets in the past think. You can read it for your own self, okay, which is what I highly recommend. So the translation of the tablets is no longer in question, and no, there's not just one man in the world who ever translated them. There are literally now thousands of people that have translated these tablets and read the tablets and utilized this particular tool to translate them as well. And now, obviously, being that it's in a college website, it's obviously part of some college courses. And many more people are going through these tablets every single day, and there's millions of tablets. So the majority of the tablets are things like IOUs and bills of sale and wedding arrangements and agreements and things like that. Okay, really amazing stuff.